We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and with me today is financial advisor John Rocco. We are going to be talking about what goes into the mindset of money and how people can be holding themselves back by hanging on to the wrong mindset. John, how are you?
Good. How are you, Eric?
Doing fantastic.
Thank you for having me here.
It is my pleasure. And we talked briefly, but how did the topic come to you of the mindset of money?
Okay. I have a affluent client that I work with, and he came to this country with no money at all. And he turned $2.20 into absolute millions of dollars. Very successful. Has little education. And he can't understand why other people are not successful. And he can't understand why other people have not been able to work as hard as he has to do the things that he's done with the tools that he's had. And he doesn't understand how people are not focused on making money. And I tried to tell him, I tell him whenever I do see him, he seems to be fascinated by the concept that people are not focused on making money. And I told him several times that people are not always interested in making money. They're interested in doing other things. And he's a little baffled by that. He just doesn't seem to get it. And it's very strange. I've never really met anyone that extreme that is focused on making money. And you can see that his focus is on making money, and because that's what he's done. So I started to think about this concept that he's correct. And we discussed it a little bit. And I told him that how, 50% of the population doesn't really pay taxes, something that Mitt Romney said in his campaign. And I don't know if it resonated well or it didn't work out for him because of that. But the bottom line is a lot of people do not pay taxes simply because they don't make enough money to pay tax. They pay Social Security taxes. They get taxes, deducted from their paycheck, but they don't pay federal income taxes or maybe state income taxes. So, how people get into this predicament, you wonder why. And I've, through my experience of 30 years in this business, I've spoken to a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life, different occupations. And I find that people feel about money in a lot of different emotional ways. They have a lot of emotions attached with how they feel about money, and they probably don't even realize it or recognize it until they talk about it, and they don't always want to admit their true feelings about money. So this is something that I have more or less always thought about, and I just think it's important from a different perspective for people to soul search about their own feelings about how they feel about money. And there's not necessarily a right or a wrong to this. It's just simply, if they understand how they feel, they could put money into perspective, and it could help them get whatever they need to make themselves comfortable. And I think in a lot of cases, what they do is they don't focus on trying to soul search their true feelings about money, and they just put it aside, and they really don't know what they're thinking about. And then it just doesn't happen. Nothing happens with money, which is bad, because we all, like it or not, we can hate money, we can love money, but every day we go to the store and we buy food and we need money. So we have to have money, and it's a subject that's got to be discussed, and it's really not discussed enough
No,
in the
it really isn't. And I know there's a lot of people that, because either they grew up without money or they hit a rough patch, they tend to look at money as something that's evil. Rich people, oh, they don't really deserve to have money, or they have these negative feelings. And the more they have those negative feelings, the less they focus on actually making the money they need to survive and hopefully eventually retire. So, how can somebody really look at this and have a healthy attitude towards money?
Well, I think number one, as you said, some people feel that money is sort of a dirty thing, that they can feel that way. And I think the first step for them to take is to recognize that. I did a lot of work in the beginning part of my career with professors, because professors have a program where they can put money into, much like a 401k plan, and they could choose from a variety of investments. And I found that the professors, some of them, really did feel that they were they shouldn't be focused on money. They were interested in their subject. They were interested in, what happened in China in the 14th century. And, how much money they made coming up with those answers and coming up with that research was secondary to anything that they did. Maybe some of them would have stepped into something and have written a book and it would have been a hit. But on the other hand, that wasn't their number one priority. They wouldn't mind sitting in their apartment or their house with a pile of books and junk all over the place, and their lamp. And they were just so happy doing that.
But by the same token, if they couldn't suddenly afford that apartment, or they couldn't afford to buy those books, then it would have hit them.
Yes, that's true. And this is the problem, because at some point it will hit them, in this day and age, especially because they don't have, you don't have necessarily pension plans. Obviously, if you're a professor, you probably do have something from the university or the state. But in a lot of cases, most people today do not have pension plans by the company. And the only thing they end up with is Social Security and whatever savings that they have. And if they haven't put some focus on accumulating money, they really struggle when it gets closer to retirement. And when they get into retirement, they're just, and I have people like this. I have clients that are like this. They have some money saved. I manage that money, but they're always needing money for the roof, for the gutters, for the furnace. And it's a struggle, because we're cutting into their income stream in order to pay for those expenses. So, at a younger age, people have to put this into perspective, and whether they like money or not, they somehow have to come to grips with the fact that they have to accumulate enough money to take care of themselves in a way that's, comfortable for them in retirement. They have to make themselves comfortable in retirement.
Wouldn't it be a good idea for most people, if they're not comfortable thinking about money, coming to the conclusion that the money itself isn't the goal, it's whatever that money can get you? So it's, not worrying about bills in retirement. It's about being able to retire rather than just accumulating money. Money isn't the end goal. Money gets you to the end goal.
Yes, that is correct. And that end goal could also be charitable. I had working with someone now who has a charitable trust. And it's a significant amount of money. And at one point in time, I said, why are you so worried about the money? Because it's all going to a charity anyway. And they are taking an income from it. They're not going to deplete it, but if the market went south, it's possible they would deplete more of it than they would expect to. But he was very concerned that he wouldn't have enough money to fund this charity. So he really is very interested in, and he's not really a person that's really interested in money. Just like you said, he's interested in supporting his charity that he wants to support. And I find, so that is a goal that is an admirable, thing for someone to do. And it's just as important for him to do that than maybe to have a house twice as big as the one that he has,
Absolutely. Again, the mindset of money isn't simply about money. It's about your goals, whether it's charity, being able to afford retirement properly, or even just making sure all your bills are paid. Money is what gets you there. And having that mindset, especially if you look at money like, oh, I don't want to deal with dirty money, that's going to hold
That
and not help you get to your goal.
That is correct.
We are just about out of time. John, thanks for being on. You've been listening to The Raw Naked Truth. You can catch each episode at xvadio.com/podcasts, as well as the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and wherever you find podcasts. We'll see you next time.